God, I'm so exhausted pretending Jamal is something he's not. 6 years of this charade and honestly? I'm done. He's not husband material, he never was. He's just a glorified IT guy who got lucky, and I've been playing the supportive wife long enough. The words cut through the air like a blade I didn't see coming. I stood frozen behind the marble column, my hands still damp from washing it in the bathroom of the Azure Room, one of Manhattan's most exclusive restaurants. The classical music that had seemed so elegant moments ago now felt like it was mocking me too. My name is Jamal Porter, and I'm about to tell you how I discovered my wife wasn't who I thought she was, and how I made sure she'd never forget the mistake of underestimating me. Tiffany's laugh echoed across the private dining area, crystal and cruel. Her 3 friends, Madison, Claire and Vanessa, joined in, their champagne glasses catching the low amber light like tiny weapons. You're too good for him, Tiff, Madison said, leaning forward conspiratorially. You deserve someone with real sophistication. Real money. Not some, what does he do again? Computers? Cybersecurity, Tiffany corrected with a wave of her manicured hand, like she was swatting away a fly. He protects data or whatever. Is technical and boring. I smile and nod when he talks about it, but truthfully, I want to scream every time he starts talking shop. My jaw clenched. 8 years. 8 years of building Secure Shield from nothing. Sleeping 4 hours a night, coding until my fingers cramped, turning down parties and vacations and every normal thing people in their 20s do, and she thought it was boring. She thought I was boring. The worst part, Tiffany continued, her voice dropping to a stage whisper that somehow carried perfectly to where I stood, is that he actually thinks we're equals. Like his little company makes him sophisticated. I came from real wealth, real breeding. He's just new money trying to pretend. Something in my chest cracked. Not my heart, that would come later. This was something else. The sound of illusions shattering. My hand moved to my pocket, pulling out my phone. My fingers knew what to do before my brain caught up. I opened the voice recorder app and pressed the red button. Evidence. I'd need evidence. So what are you going to do? Claire asked. You've been married, what, 5 years now? 6, Tiffany said with a sigh that could have filled a theater. 6 long years of pretending I'm impressed by his achievements. But I'm working on something. Let's just say Jamal won't be the CEO of his precious company much longer. The 3 friends went silent. Even through the column I could feel the shift in energy. Tiffany, what does that mean? Vanessa asked carefully. It means, Tiffany said, and I could hear the smile in her voice, that I've been planning something special. Something he doesn't even see coming. Project Smokescreen, I call it. By the time I'm done, he'll be lucky if he's managing a Best Buy. My thumb pressed stop on the recording. 17 minutes and 42 seconds. I had it all. Please, before I continue, kindly like, share and subscribe for more interesting videos. I walked back to the table like a man in a dream. My legs moved, my mouth smiled, my hand reached for my water glass. But inside, I was somewhere else entirely. Somewhere cold and clear where everything made terrible sense. There you are, Tiffany said brightly, touching my arm with fingertips that suddenly felt like ice. We were just talking about the charity gala next month. Madison thinks we should go with the gold theme instead of silver. What do you think, babe? Whatever you want, I heard myself say. The drive home was 43 minutes of torture. Tiffany chatted about dessert, about Madison's new Birkin bag, about some influencer drama I'd never cared about and cared even less about now. Her voice was white noise. Static. The sound of a stranger. Did you see Claire's engagement ring? 3 carats. 3. I told her about the jeweler in the Diamond District, the one I wanted to use before we... She stopped herself, glancing at me. Before we decided to go more modest with mine. Modest. My grandmother's ring, a 1-carat diamond that had survived the Great Depression, a World War and 57 years of marriage, was modest to her. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel. The recording sat in my phone like a bomb in my pocket. At a red light, Tiffany finally looked up from her Instagram feed. You're quiet tonight. Is your stomach still bothering you? That had been my excuse for going to the bathroom. A convenient lie that let me walk away from the table and accidentally discover the truth. Yeah, I said flatly. Something's not sitting right. You probably ate too fast. You always do that when you're stressed about work. She went back to her phone, scrolling through filtered photos of lives as fake as ours had become. We should get you some Tums when we get home. Oh, the word felt wrong now. That penthouse in Tribeca, the one I'd bought with my first major profit from Secure Shield, the one with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Hudson River, wasn't a home. It was a stage. And I'd been performing in a play I didn't know I was in. We pulled into the underground garage. The security guard waved. Everything looked normal. Everything was a lie. As Tiffany gathered her purse and shopping bags from the back seat, I sat for a moment longer, staring at our building. 42 floors of glass and steel. I'd chosen the 28th floor specifically, high enough for the view, low enough to still feel connected to the ground. Now I understood. I'd never left the ground. I'd just been pretending I belonged in the sky with someone who saw me as beneath her. "Are you coming?" Tiffany called from outside the car. I looked at her standing there in her designer dress, her heels clicking on the concrete, her face arranged in that expression of mild annoyance she wore whenever I didn't move fast enough for her schedule. "Yeah," I said quietly, opening my door. "I'm coming." But as I walked toward the elevator, something in me whispered, "Not anymore." Sleep was impossible. At 3 a.m., I sat alone in my home office, the city lights of Manhattan blinking through the window like watchful eyes. Tiffany's words looped in my head. "He doesn't even see it coming." I opened my laptop and pulled up SecureShield's admin dashboard, the backend system that tracked every login, every document access, every movement within our digital infrastructure. As CEO, I had access to everything. I just never thought I'd need to use it like this. My hands shook as I typed Tiffany's email into the search field. She had administrative access. I'd given it to her 2 years ago when she said she wanted to understand the business better. Another mistake in a long line of them. The results made my stomach drop. 47 document downloads in the past 6 months. Client contact lists exported 6 times. Financial projections accessed 23 times. Board member private emails forwarded to an unknown address. I clicked deeper. Every access timestamp was late night, after I'd gone to bed, when she'd claimed she was just browsing Pinterest or catching up on shows. She'd been hunting through my company like a thief in the dark. Then I found it, a shared Google Drive folder in her bookmarks labeled Project Smokescreen. The folder was password protected. My cursor hovered over the field. I knew Tiffany's patterns. She used the same 3 passwords for everything, cycling through them when forced to update. I'd set up her laptop, her phone, her tablet. I knew her digital life better than she thought. First attempt, Madison 2024, her best friend's name. Invalid. Second attempt, Tiffany Vuitton, her favorite brand. Invalid. Third attempt, Better Than Him 2024. The folder opened. My blood turned to ice. Inside were dozens of files, board member dossiers, financial manipulation strategies, legal documents for a shadow company called SecureShield Solutions, almost identical to my company name. There were text chains with someone named Marcus, voice memos where Tiffany practiced speeches about my declining mental health, and a PowerPoint titled CEO Replacement, Phase 3. I sat back in my chair, my heart hammering. This wasn't just betrayal. This was war. And she'd been planning it for months. Morning came with the smell of French press coffee and the sound of Tiffany humming in the kitchen. Like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't spent half the night plotting my destruction. I'd printed everything. 47 pages of evidence sat in a manila folder on the counter, hidden under the Wall Street Journal. I made her coffee exactly how she liked it, 2 sugars, splash of oat milk, and slid it across the marble counter. "You're up early," she said, not looking up from her phone. She was in her silk robe, scrolling through Instagram, double-tapping pictures of lives even faker than ours. "Couldn't sleep," I said. My voice was calm. Too calm. Had a lot on my mind. Still worried about that client presentation? She took a sip of coffee, still not looking at me. "You stress too much, Jamal. Everything always works out for you." I pulled the folder from under the newspaper and slid it next to her avocado toast. "Not everything," I said. Tiffany's eyes flicked to the folder. Then to me. Then back to the folder. Her thumb stopped scrolling. She opened it. The first page was a screenshot of the Project Smokescreen folder. Her face drained of color so fast I could watch it happen, from golden tan to paper white in 3 seconds. "Where did you get this?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "Your Google Drive. Password was easy." I sat down across from her, my coffee untouched. "I heard you last night. At dinner. You called me beneath you. Said I was just a glorified IT guy who got lucky. Said you were exhausted pretending I was something I'm not." Her mouth opened. Closed. Opened again like a fish drowning in air. "Jamal, I was joking with the girls, you know how." "Were you joking about the shadow company?" I tapped the second page. SecureShield Solutions. Registered under your maiden name 3 months ago. Were you joking about meeting with my board members behind my back? Were you joking about Marcus Chin? Her phone buzzed on the counter. A text preview flashed across the screen. Madison, did he find out? Call me now. We both saw it. The room went completely silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic 40 stories below. Tiffany's hand trembled as she reached for her phone. I was faster. I picked it up and held it out of reach. We need to talk, I said. And this time you're going to tell me the truth. Let me take you back 8 years so you understand what she destroyed. I was 28, working out of a Brooklyn apartment so small my desk was also my dining table. My roommate was my computer. My dinner was 25-cent ramen packages I bought in bulk. My dream was a cybersecurity platform that could protect small businesses from data breaches, the kind of attacks that could destroy a family company overnight. I pitched to 47 investors. Got rejected by 46. They said the market was saturated. They said I didn't have enough experience. One guy actually laughed and told me to get a real job. The 47th investor was Dr. Patricia Okonkwo, a Nigerian-American venture capitalist who'd built her fortune in telecommunications. She looked at my pitch deck for 7 minutes, then looked at me. Why do you want this? She asked. Because my uncle lost his business to a cyber attack, I said. 30 years of work gone in 3 hours because he couldn't afford proper security. I watched him cry at our kitchen table. I was 15. I swore I'd fix this. She wrote me a check for $250,000. Don't prove me right, she said. Prove yourself right. I built Secure Shield from nothing. 70-hour weeks. No social life. No vacations. My friends stopped calling because I was always working. My mother worried I'd burn out. But in 3 years I had 200 clients and $12 million in revenue. That's when I met Tiffany at a tech networking event in Soho. She was elegant, charming, from a good family in Connecticut. She made me feel like I'd finally arrived. Like I was good enough for the world she came from. I proposed after a year. Married her 6 months later. Biggest mistake of my life. What I didn't know then, what I was too in love to see, was that Tiffany's family wealth was a facade. Her father had gambled away most of their money. Her mother's shopping addiction had eaten the rest. The prestige was just a brand name with nothing behind it. Tiffany tried 3 businesses during our marriage. First was a luxury candle company called Lumiere by Tiffany. She spent $80,000 on packaging and marketing before selling a single candle. It failed in 8 months. I covered the losses. Then came a high-end jewelry line. She convinced me it would be the next Tiffany & Co. because of her name. $120,000 later, after 6 months of trying, she had 12 sales, all to friends and family who pitied her. I covered those losses too. Her third attempt was a lifestyle blog promising sponsorships and brand deals. She spent $40,000 on a website designer, a photographer, and content strategy consultants. The blog got 300 followers. No sponsors ever called. I covered that too. Every failure, I told her it was okay. Try again. Learn from it. I thought I was being supportive. I was actually being erased. At parties, she started introducing herself as co-founder of Secure Shield. At networking events, she'd say, "We built the company," when she'd never written a line of code or closed a single deal. She absorbed my success while I absorbed her failures. I let it happen. I thought that's what love was, lifting your partner up even when they're pulling you down. I was wrong. 2 days after the breakfast confrontation, someone knocked on my office door at 7 p.m. Everyone else had gone home. I'd been sitting in the dark, staring at legal documents, trying to figure out my next move. "Come in," I said, not looking up. The door opened. Emilia Martinez stood there, Tiffany's best friend since college, the woman who'd been maid of honor at our wedding. Her eyes were red. She was holding a flash drive like it was burning her hand. "I need to talk to you," she said. "And you're not going to like what I have to say." I gestured to the chair across from my desk. She sat down, wringing her hands. "I've known Tiffany since freshman year at Yale," Emilia began. "I've watched her manipulate people for 15 years. I've made excuses for her. I've covered for her. But this." She slid the flash drive across my desk. "This is evil, Jamal. And I can't let it happen." "What's on there?" I asked. "Everything. Messages between her and Marcus Chin, your board member. She's been sleeping with him for 7 months. He's promised to vote you out as CEO in exchange for a VP position in her new company." Emilia's voice cracked. "There are videos, Jamal. Recordings she made of you when you were upset or tired, edited to make you look unstable. She's been building a case that you're mentally unfit to run Secure Shield. My hands clenched into fists. Why are you telling me this? Because 3 years ago my brother Gabriel was struggling. He had a record, stupid mistake when he was 19. No one would hire him. You gave him a job in your IT department without hesitation. You believed in him when no one else would. He's thriving now because of you. Tears ran down her face. And because I'm tired of watching Tiffany destroy good people. You're a good man, Jamal. You deserve better than this. I plugged the flash drive into my computer. What I saw made my stomach turn. Text messages between Tiffany and Marcus discussing the affair, planning board strategies, laughing about my naivety. Videos of me edited out of context. Me raising my voice during a stressful call made to look like rage, me putting my head in my hands during a long night made to look like breakdown. There's something else, Amelia said quietly. She's not working alone. Marcus is obvious. But there's a fourth person, someone inside your company feeding her information. Someone you trust. My blood ran cold. Who? I don't know. The messages just call him D. But Jamal, whoever it is, they have access to everything. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I planned. If there was a mole in my company, I'd smoke them out. The next morning, I called an emergency meeting with my 5 department heads. Marketing, finance, operations, HR, and tech. These were people I'd handpicked. People I trusted. One of them was betraying me. Derek Thompson, head of operations, was my college roommate from Howard University. We built our first app together freshman year. Lisa Chin, head of HR, had been with me since day one. Employee number 3. Marcus wasn't in this meeting. I'd already decided his fate. We have a leak, I announced, looking each person in the eye. Someone in this company has been feeding confidential information to a competitor. I'm giving everyone 48 hours to come forward. If you confess, you keep your job. If I find you first, you go to prison for corporate espionage. It was a bluff. But I watched their faces carefully. Most looked shocked, angry, concerned. Derek looked guilty. 20 minutes into discussing security protocols, Derek's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his face went pale. I need to take this, he said, standing abruptly. My wife, it's an emergency. Take it here, I said calmly. We're all family. No, it's private. Medical stuff. He was already moving toward the door. I nodded to Lisa. She followed him out, phone in hand, recording app open. 3 minutes later, she returned and handed me her phone with earbuds. I listened. Derek's voice, he knows. I don't know how, but he knows. We need to accelerate phase 4. No, I can't keep stalling the infrastructure audit. Marcus, I'm telling you, we're burned. Marcus Chin. My board member. My wife's lover. And my best friend. The betrayal was complete. I found Derek in the parking garage, sitting in his Tesla with his head against the steering wheel. I knocked on the window. He jumped like I'd fired a gun. We need to talk, I said. He got out slowly, his hands shaking. We'd been brothers for over a decade. We'd celebrated his wedding. I was godfather to his daughter. And he'd sold me out. How long? I asked. Jamal, How long, Derek? His shoulders slumped. 6 months. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. 6 months. While we were planning your daughter's birthday party. While I was helping you negotiate your salary increase. While I trusted you with everything. I'm drowning, Derek whispered. I have gambling debts. $340,000. My wife doesn't know. My kids don't know. Tiffany found out, I don't know how, and she offered to make it disappear if I helped her. Helped her destroy me, I corrected. I'm sorry, he said, and he was crying now. I'm so sorry, Jamal. I never wanted, I didn't know how bad it would get. She said she just wanted information for her own company. I didn't know she was planning to steal mine. I finished. Derek, you gave her access to our infrastructure plans. Our client lists. Our proprietary security protocols. You didn't just betray me. You endangered every client we have. I know. He couldn't look at me. I know. What are you going to do? I thought about it. About our friendship. About his kids who called me Uncle Jamal. About the night we stayed up until 4 a.m. debugging code for our first app, dreaming about the future. You're going to resign, I said. Today. You're going to get help for your addiction. And you're going to testify against Tiffany and Marcus if it comes to that. Do those 3 things and I won't press charges. But Derek, we're done. You understand that, right? We're done. He nodded, tears streaming down his face. I understand. I walked away and didn't look back. Frank Holloway's office in Midtown Manhattan looked exactly like you'd expect a lawyer's office to look. Mahogany desk, leather chairs, walls lined with law books nobody actually read anymore. Frank himself was 62, silver-haired, and known in Manhattan legal circles as the executioner. He spread the evidence across his conference table like a general planning a war. Corporate fraud, espionage, attempted theft of intellectual property, and adultery in a state that still considers it in divorce proceedings, Frank said, tapping each pile of documents. Jamal, your wife has committed enough crimes to keep her in court for years. I don't want years, I said. I want this over. Then we make an example of her. Frank pulled out a calendar. Marcus Chin has called for an emergency board meeting this Friday. He thinks he has the votes to remove you as CEO. He doesn't know we know. What's the play? Frank smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. We let him make his presentation. We let him lay out all his accusations, your alleged instability, your supposed financial mismanagement, whatever lies Tiffany fed him. We let him think he's winning. And then we bury him. We present the evidence of his affair with your wife, the corporate espionage, the shadow company, everything. We don't just defend you, Jamal. We destroy them so completely that no board in America would touch them again. I sat back processing. This was really happening. My marriage was ending. My best friend had betrayed me. My wife had tried to steal my life's work. Frank, can I ask you something? Why did you take this case? You're a corporate attorney. You don't usually do divorces. His expression darkened. 20 years ago, my wife left me for my law partner. Then she used inside information about my firm to try to destroy me in the divorce. She almost succeeded. He gathered the documents into neat piles. When you called, I heard my younger self on the phone. I'm not just your attorney, Jamal. I'm your weapon. And I never miss. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it and smiled. They just took the bait. Marcus officially requested the Friday board meeting. He sent the agenda, vote of no confidence in CEO Jamal Porter. Perfect. What do we do until then? I asked. We prepare. And we wait. Tiffany thinks she's won. Let her keep thinking that. The higher she climbs, the harder she'll fall. Friday came with rain. I took it as a sign, washing away the old, making room for the new. I arrived at Secure Shield headquarters at 8 a.m. for the 9 a.m. board meeting. I wore my best suit, the charcoal Tom Ford that Tiffany had once said made me look almost sophisticated. The boardroom was on the 42nd floor, with windows overlooking all of Manhattan. 8 board members sat around the glass table. Investors, legal counsel, and Marcus Chin looking confident in his corner seat. Tiffany sat in the back row in the public gallery where spouses and observers were allowed. She wore red, power color. Her face was arranged in an expression of concern, like a worried wife supporting her troubled husband. I almost admired the performance. Marcus stood, straightening his tie. He dressed sharp too. Navy suit, crisp white shirt, gold cufflinks that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. Thank you all for coming on short notice, Marcus began. I've called this emergency meeting because I can no longer, in good conscience, support Jamal Porter's leadership of this company. Murmurs around the table. I sat perfectly still, my face neutral. Over the past 6 months, I've observed erratic behavior, poor financial decisions, and increasing instability. Jamal has been missing meetings, making impulsive choices, and his judgment has become. Is that what Tiffany told you to say? I interrupted, my voice calm. The room went silent. Marcus's confidence flickered. Excuse me? I asked if that's what my wife told you to say. Or did you come up with that script during your affair? Someone gasped. Tiffany half stood in the back row, her face going white. Marcus's mouth opened and closed like a fish. I stood, connecting my laptop to the projector. Let me show everyone what instability really looks like. I pressed play. Audio first, Tiffany and Marcus in her car, windows up, privacy presumed. Her voice crystal clear. That fool Jamal has no idea. By the time we're done, he'll be lucky to get a job at Geek Squad. Marcus's laugh. And you're sure Derek can keep feeding us information? Tiffany, Derek's desperate. Desperate men are easy to control. The room erupted. Board members talking over each other. Marcus trying to speak. Tiffany moving toward the exit. Sit down, Tiffany, Frank Holloway's voice cut through the chaos. He'd been standing quietly by the door. You're not going anywhere. I clicked to the next slide. Screenshots of text messages between Tiffany and Marcus, planning the affair, planning the coup. Emails about the shadow company, Secure Shield Solutions, registered to steal my clients. Financial records showing Tiffany had embezzled $200,000 in fake consulting fees. This is, Marcus started. The boardroom doors opened. Two people walked in, a man and woman in dark suits with federal badges. Marcus Chin and Tiffany Porter, the woman said, "You're under federal investigation for corporate fraud, espionage and conspiracy. You have the right to remain silent." The board meeting ended with Marcus and Tiffany being escorted out in handcuffs. The FBI had been investigating for 2 weeks, ever since Frank noticed that Tiffany's shadow company received $500,000 from an overseas account. Chinese origin. Secure Shield handled government contracts. Suddenly, it wasn't just corporate drama. It was a potential national security issue. Within 24 hours, the story leaked. Not from me, from a board member's wife who worked at the New York Times. The headline read, "Tech CEO exposes wife's corporate betrayal in stunning boardroom takedown." Tiffany tried to control the narrative on Instagram. "Sometimes strong women are torn down by jealous men. I will rise above this. #truth #resilience. But the internet is undefeated. The comments section became a graveyard of her reputation. Her former assistant, "You fired me when I got pregnant and threatened to blacklist me." A college friend, "You plagiarized my thesis and almost got me expelled." A small business vendor, "You never paid my company $12,000 and ghosted me." Even Madison, "I can't do this anymore, Tiff. You're a liar and a user. We're done." Tiffany's follower count dropped from 47,000 to 9,000 in 6 hours. Brands dropped her. Friends disappeared. Her mother called once, then never again. The divorce was finalized 8 weeks later. Family Court, Manhattan. Tiffany sat beside her lawyer looking 10 years older. No makeup, hair in a ponytail, cheap black dress from TJ Maxx. The judge, a stern black woman in her 60s, read the settlement. "Mr. Porter retains 100% ownership of Secure Shield and all intellectual property. Mrs. Porter is entitled to 0 marital assets due to proven fraud and embezzlement. All debts incurred by Mrs. Porter remain her sole responsibility." Tiffany's lawyer tried to object. The judge cut her off. "Furthermore, a restraining order will prevent Mrs. Porter from contacting Mr. Porter or coming within 500 feet of his residence or place of business." The gavel dropped. It was over. As we exited, Tiffany tried one last time. "Jamal, please." I walked past her like she was air. Like she was nothing. Because to me she finally was. 6 weeks later, I stood on my new penthouse balcony, different building, clean slate, watching the sunrise over Manhattan. I'd sold the Tribeca place. Too many ghosts. This new spot in the West Village felt like a beginning. My phone buzzed. A text from Derek's wife. "He's been in rehab for 30 days. He's doing better. Thank you for not pressing charges. When he's ready, can he call you?" I typed back, "Tell him when he's really ready we'll talk. I miss my brother." Another text came through, this one from Dr. Patricia Okonkwo. "Proud of you, Jamal. Not for winning but for protecting your peace. That's real power." I breathed deeply. The city glittered below, 8 million people starting their days, fighting their battles, building their dreams. My company was thriving. My team was loyal. My conscience was clear. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to. "Hello? Mr. Porter? My name is Keisha. I'm starting a tech company and I heard your story. Would you consider mentoring me?" I smiled. "Tell me about your dream." 1 year later, a letter arrived. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting immediately. Tiffany's. 3 pages, handwritten, tear-stained. "Dear Jamal, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know I've spent the last year in therapy, trying to understand how I became the person who hurt you. My father died. My mother won't speak to me. I lost everything, the friends, the reputation, the life I thought mattered. But what haunts me isn't what I lost. It's what I destroyed. You were good to me. You loved me when I didn't know how to love myself. And I repaid you with betrayal. I'm working as a waitress now in Newark. I'm paying off my debts $1 at a time. I'm trying to rebuild not who I was, but who I should have been all along. I don't expect a response. I just needed you to know, I'm sorry, and you deserved so much better. Tiffany." I folded the letter carefully. I didn't respond. But I didn't throw it away either. I placed it in a drawer and closed it. Not forgiveness. Not reconciliation. Just closure. That afternoon, I was at a community center in Harlem, teaching coding to inner-city kids, something I'd started doing every Saturday. A young black boy raised his hand. "Mr. Porter, how did you become successful?" I smiled at him, seeing my younger self in his eager eyes. I protected my peace, stayed true to my values, and never let anyone make me smaller than I am. And neither should you. The most powerful revenge isn't destruction. It's building a life so beautiful they'll never be part of it again.